Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you are, in whichever realms of existence you are, whatever mind states you're in, whatever conditions you're in. Welcome to my channel and to this video. Today, I wanted to do some readings. Well, start a series of readings. Probably have to be a series of readings on the last Dharma-Age. Well, and Mappo particularly, but actually, and what leads up to that. Some readings on what leads up to even prior to the declining age. Before, because it's mentioned in some of Shinran's writings, the declining age even before Shakyamuni, and kind of how that works. A little bit is touched on, because I think it's important to understand the time, and the place where we are as Buddhists, as Jodo Shinshu practitioners. I think that's really important. It's important to me. And I eventually want to do some deep reflections about this and discussions with Kyokan, Dharma dialogue about this, because while I 100% take responsibility for as much as any ordinary being can take responsibility for their karmic causes and conditions that brought them to the current rebirth, provisional existence, Iranian, samsara, and saha world during Mappo. And I accept that. I deserve to be here. I deserve to be born into this life. I deserve to be born into, the saha world, samsara, and during Mappo because of my karmic causes and conditions. And we all do collectively. In the same vein, or similar vein, what's it like living with that? What's it like? How do you deal with the difficulties of actually living in Mappo and living with what we're experiencing and how does Jodo Shinshu approach that? Obviously we know what the ultimate focus of Jodo Shinshu is the 17th, 18th vow, the Shinjin, going to Pure Land and become the Buddha at the end of this life, coming into, because through Amida's giving us his mind, his true, real, and sincere mind, a true Shinjin, coming into this, through his merit transference, we come into the state of non-retrogression in this life. And when we die, we go to Pure Land and immediately become a Buddha. So there's the merit transference for going forth to Pure Land, the merit transference for coming back immediately. There's no rest for us Pure Land Buddhists, Pure Land Buddhas. Anyway, I really like the saying in Jodo Shinshu, that other, there's the common thing of the common saying when somebody dies, R.I.P., rest in peace. It might be on the gravestone, it might be just that's what people say about when they say tribute to somebody, rest in peace, R.I.P. But for the Jodo Shinshu Buddhist, it should be BRB, be right back. So anyways, I love that. I absolutely love that Kyokan. I heard that from Kyokan the other week, so I quite like that. It's so perfect. But anyway, so so I wanted to do some readings because I think it's important because we are living here, it's important to know what that's about, what it is like living in Mappo, what living in Mappo is really all about, and how the Saha world got to Mappo, not just from the 3 Dharma-Ages, but prior to that. So I might do some readings about that aspect of Buddhist cosmology, because I think that's important to put. It's important to put the three Dharma ages within the context of the broader Buddhist cosmology of the declining kalpa that happens before that, and Shinran makes reference to that in different places. So that's important too, to understand. It was already bad before the three Dharma ages. Okay, it was already really bad. We're in our three Dharma ages from our Yamanakaya Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, are happening at a very late stage of the declining kalpa. So the defilement, the five defilements were already, we were already in the age of five defilements prior to, it was already, it was already pretty bad before that, before Shakyamuni came at a very low point in the decline, in this kalpa, this decline. We're in this declining kalpa. So it's important to know that as well, I think, because it just kind of gives you context. So anyway, that's the purpose of me doing these readings. So I'm just going to share my screen now, and then we're going to go from there. So bear with me a sec. Now I am going to start with, I'm going to start with this this reading, with this text, the Pure Land Hymns on the Right, Semblance, and Last Dharma-Ages, by Gutoku Zenshin, to just put context on all of this. Because this gives the overview, and even there's a little bit of discussion in this text of prior to the semblance, prior to the three Dharma ages, the right, semblance, and last Dharma ages. It gives some context to that, and it goes through them all, leading up to Mappo, and how it's just declining and declining. So I think it's important to start with this one. So that's why I chose this one first, and then we'll go to the next one, and then I might read some things from the glossary. So I don't know how much I'll get through in this first video, but hopefully I'll get at least through this reading. So just gonna do Gasho. If you join me while you're watching this in Gasho, so Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda. Okay, so Pure Land Hymns on the Right, Semblance, and Last Dharma Ages. Not sure why it starts with 2 at this point, but all right. So it is now more than 2,000 years since the passing of Shakyamuni Tathagata. Or Tathagata. The right and semblance ages have already closed, so lament disciples of later times. Now, amid the 5 defilements of the last Dharma age, sentient beings are incapable of practice and realization. Hence, the teachings that Shakyamuni left behind have all passed into the Naga's palace. During the right, semblance, and last ages, Amida's primal vow has spread. At the end of the semblance and in the last Dharma age, good practices have all gone into the Naga's palace. Good practices meaning Shakyamuni's teachings. Me saying the meaning was my adding that. So in the future, I won't do that, but just know that when if you're reading this and looking at this, you're going to hear there's little commentaries that are made, it looks like, as we go along. So they're in italics. So maybe I'll just say in italics. Okay, so anyway, 5. The Great Collection Sutra teaches that we are now in the fifth period of 500 years, because people are resolute in conflict and dispute. The pure Dharma is concealed in dormancy. So 1.4, all roots of good are hidden within the Naga's palace. That's another note. When sentient beings' lifespans of tens of thousands of years, through a gradual decline in their karmic reward, decreased to 20,000 years, the age came to be called the evil world of the 5 defilements. So I'm just going to read that again. This is some of that context I mentioned earlier, prior to the 3 Dharma-Ages, prior to Shakyamuni coming. The sentient beings, when sentient beings' lifespan of tens of thousands of years, through a gradual decline of their karmic reward, decreased to 20,000 years, the age came to be called the evil world of 5 defilements. So I'm just going to, this is my own commentary. So the evil world of the 5 defilements started before we even got to Shakyamuni and the 3 Dharma-Ages. So it's already pretty bad before that happens. Okay. So, and again, italics, lifespan of tens of thousands of years, the direct recompense of long life has gradually become short. As the time of Kalpa defilements advances, the bodies of sentient beings gradually grow smaller. Their evil and wrongdoing amid the 5 defilements increase, so that their minds are like poisonous snakes and evil dragons. And there's a note 1.3, evil karma increases. So this is before. Okay, again, this is before we're even to Shakyamuni's coming. That, you know, as the time of Kalpa defilements advances, the bodies of sentient beings gradually grow smaller. Their evil and wrongdoing amid the 5 defilements increase, so that their minds are like poisonous snakes and evil dragons. So our minds are like our human minds before becoming Shakyamuni and the 3 Dharma-Ages are like poisonous snakes, are already like poisonous snakes and evil dragons. So you know, that's some context for things. Okay. Ignorance and blind passions abound, pervading everywhere like innumerable particles of dust. Desire and hatred arising out of conflict and accord. Desire and hatred arising out of conflict and accord are like high peaks and mountain ridges. So then note 1.3, greed, envy, jealousy, and contention increases. 1.4, blind passions and evil increase, so that they are like high peaks and mountain ridges. And again, this is from shinronworks.com, by the way. So some of these notes, I think, are either part of that or maybe part of, anyway, the collected works of Shinron, I'm not sure. So anyway, the notes, anyway, from either from this version of these works or the collected works, I'm not sure. Anyway, so sentient beings' wrong views grow rampant, becoming like thickets and forests, bramble and thorns. Filled with suspicion, they slander those who follow the Nembutsu, while the use of violence and the poison of anger spread widely. So this is another note, is Roman numeral 2, dot 1 to 2. Blind passions and evil increase, becoming like thickets and forests, bramble, and thorns. So bear with me a moment. So again, this is all before. This is all context before we even get to where we're at. This is already happening before we even get to. Let me just see. Let me just make sure. I'm just gonna go back. Yeah, as the time of the, so I'm going back to number 7 here. As the time of Kalpa defilements advances. And so all this is just as it advances. This is before we even get to the 3 Dharma-Ages that, after Shakyamuni's parinirvana. Right? Now back to where we left off. With life defilement, the ultimate end occurs in a moment. And both forms of recompense, oneself and one's environment, perish. Rejecting right and turning to wrong prevails, so that people senselessly injure others. And then there's italics, life defilement. The life of human beings shortens and becomes weak. And then 1.2, the lives of human beings and their that might be Roman numeral 1.2, by the way. Yeah, Roman numeral 1.2. The lives of human beings and their possessions collapse and disappear. Roman numeral 1.4. People have only evil thoughts. This characterizes sentient beings of the world of the 5 defilements. Again, this is what it's like before we even get to the 3 Dharma-Ages. It's already like this. Without entrusting themselves to the Tathagata's compassionate vow, no sentient beings of these times, and now this is definitely talking about Mappo here. So without entrusting themselves to the Tathagata's compassionate vow, no sentient beings of these times, the last Dharma-Age, and the 5th 500-year period since Shakyamuni's passing, will have a chance of parting from birth and death. So Roman numeral 1.3, know that this period is the beginning of the last Dharma-Age. The 95 non-Buddhist teachings defile the world. The Buddha's path alone is pure. Only by going forth and reaching enlightenment can we benefit others. In this burning house, this is the natural working of the vow. 95, so italics, 95 non-Buddhist teachings. Know that non-Buddhist paths are divided into numerous kinds, and that besides these, there are also 62 non-Buddhist views. Interesting. So Roman numeral 1.2, know that only the Buddha's path is pure and excellent. And then italics, going forth and reach enlightenment, become Buddha. Burning house, this Saha world. With the advent of the age of the 5 defilements, both monks and laity have fallen into contention. When we see persons who have entrusted themselves to the Nembutsu, filled with suspicion, when they see, so let me restart number 13 again. So with the advent of the age of the 5 defilements, both monks and laity have fallen into contention. When they see persons who have entrusted themselves to the Nembutsu, filled with suspicion, they slander and attack them. I think slander also means abuse. So, and so in the age, and this means the age and its beings. Oh, interesting. So when it refers to the age of the five defilements, it's referring to not just like the time period, but the beings itself. The age itself refers to the being itself. Interesting. So those who it appears will never attain enlightenment all attack the practice of solely saying the name. The mark of destroying the teaching of sudden attainment is that for them, the vast sea of birth and death will have no end. Let me read this one again. Those who, it appears, will never attain enlightenment all attack the practice of solely saying the name. The mark of destroying the teaching of sudden enlightenment is that for them, the vast sea of birth and death will have no end. And italics, destroying, to slander, to destroy. We may think that these times belong to the right Dharma age, but in us, the lowest of foolish beings, there is no mind that is pure, true, or real. How could we awaken the aspiration for enlightenment? I'm just going to read that one again. We may think that these times belong to the right Dharma age, but in us, the lowest of foolish beings, there is no mind that is pure, true, or real. How could we awaken the aspiration for enlightenment? I think that's referring to, that for us Bambu, for really ordinary beings that have no merit to, ordinary human beings that have no merit to be able to do any kind of self-power practices, no matter when we're born, that we cannot even awaken the aspiration for enlightenment, let alone do practice, do these self-power practices, or be able to understand right teaching and all of that. Because we don't have a mind that is pure, true, and real. And I wonder if that's what that's referring to in any age, if you're like us. That's just posing the question here, if that's what that's kind of, saying, referring to. Anyway. Okay, so italics, these times, the age and its beings. Again, the age and its beings put together. Interesting. So Roman numeral 1.2, foolish beings sinking in the depths of blind passions. We who are possessed of blind passions. Or klesha. The aspiration for enlightenment through self-power taught in the path of sages is beyond our minds and words. We foolish beings, ever sinking in transmigration, how could we awaken it? Ever sinking, as italics again, ever sinking, constantly sinking in the great ocean of birth and death. Transmigration, italics transmigration, wandering in the 25 forms of existence. 25 forms of existence. Under the guidance of Buddhas who appeared in this world, 3 times the sands of the Ganges in number, we awakened the aspiration for supreme enlightenment, but our self-power failed and we continued to transmigrate. So obviously, again, I think this is referring to other ages. If it's talking about transmigration and all of our other provisional lifetimes. So, keep that in mind. It was already pretty bad for us. It was already, even though we may have awakened, and even though we had the guidance of Buddhas who appeared in the world 3 times the sands of the Ganges, And even though and it may have in these, past existences awakened the aspiration for enlightenment, our self-power failed and we continue to transmigrate. So italics again, the aspiration for supreme enlightenment, the mind that desires to bring all sentient beings to Buddhahood. And then italics again, continue to transmigrate. Know that with the aspiration for enlightenment of self-power, we have wandered thus in birth and death to this day. With the advent of the semblance and last Dharma-Ages, and this world of the five defilements, interesting, and so it's again emphasizing we were already in the age of the five defilements. See what I mean? Let's just read that again. With the advent of the semblance and last Dharma-Ages, and this world of five defilements, the teachings left by Shakyamuni entered into concealment. Only the compassionate vow of Amida becomes widely known, and attainment of birth through the Nembutsu spreads. So again, italics, teachings left by Shakyamuni. Know that the teachings that were left by Shakyamuni have been distorted and lost, and have entered into concealment. Of the vows embraced as supreme and all surpassing, selected through 5 kalpas of profound thought, the vows of immeasurable light and life were made the foundation of the working of great compassion. So obviously referring to Dharmakara, Bodhisattvas, 5 kalpas of profound thought, and that the vows of his vows of immeasurable light and life were made the foundation of the working of great compassion. Concerning the aspiration for enlightenment in the Pure Land path, we are urged to realize the mind that seeks to attain Buddhahood, the mind that seeks to attain Buddhahood. Wait, let me read that again. Somehow I got off track there. Concerning the so this is number 20. Concerning the aspiration for supreme enlightenment in the Pure Land path, we are urged to realize the mind that seeks to attain Buddhahood. The mind that seeks to attain Buddhahood is itself the mind that seeks to save all sentient beings. So the two are one. Aspiration for, italics again, aspiration for supreme enlightenment, the mind that desires to bring all sentient beings to Buddhahood. So note, Roman numeral 1.2, other power, aspiration for enlightenment. In the primal vow, Amida encourages beings to aspire to be born in the land of bliss and attain Buddhahood. Italics, mind that seeks to attain Buddhahood. And then again, there's a note, Roman numeral 1.3. The mind deeply entrusting oneself to Amida's compassionate vow and aspiring to become Buddha is called aspiration for enlightenment. Mind, so this is again italics, mind that seeks to save all sentient beings. Know that this is the mind that know that this is the mind that desires to bring all sentient beings to Buddhahood. The mind that seeks to save all sentient beings is directed to us through Amida's vow of wisdom. Those who realize this true and trusting that is directed to us attain great, complete nirvana. Let me read that again emphasizing that the mind that seeks to save all sentient beings is directed to us through Amida's vow of wisdom. Those who realize this true and trusting that is directed to us attain great complete nirvana. So, true and trusting is direct, when we realize true and trusting, that's directed to us. We don't summon the trust. Entrusting, the ability to entrust comes from Mita. Anyway, so italics. Mind that seeks to save all sentient beings. Other power, aspiration for enlightenment. Desire to bring all sentient beings to Buddhahood. So again, mind, so italics, mind that seeks to save all sentient beings is other power, the meaning of this is other power, aspiration for enlightenment. Desire to bring sentient beings to Buddhahood. So again, it's one, aspiration for enlightenment, other power, aspiration for enlightenment, other power, desire to bring all sentient beings to Buddhahood. They're one. The mind that seeks to save all sentient beings is the other power, aspiration for enlightenment, and the desire to bring all sentient beings to Buddhahood. Amita's vow of wisdom. This is italics again. Amita's vow of wisdom. Amita Tathagata's compassionate vow. It's referring to true and trusting that is directed to us. That's italics again. True and trusting that is directed to us, and trusting ourselves without double-mindedness to the power of Amita's vow. So how can we entrust ourselves without double-mindedness to the power of Amita's vow? We're bumbled. We're not capable of entrusting ourselves without double-mindedness. So that has to come from Amita. A double-minded, we by nature, by Bambu nature, we are double-minded. So that has to come from Amita. So again, italics, attain great complete nirvana to attain the same enlightenment as Amita Tathagata. 22. Persons who enter Amita's directing of virtue to beings and realize the mind that seeks to attain Buddhahood, completely abandon their self-power, directing of merit, thus benefiting sentient beings boundlessly. I'm going to read that again. This is 22. Persons who enter Amita's directing of virtue to beings and realize the mind that seeks to attain Buddhahood, completely abandon their self-power directing of merit, thus benefiting beings boundlessly. So, italics again, Amita's directing virtue. Amita's giving us the primal vow. When the waters of the mind of entrusting to other power enter the oceans of Amita's vow of wisdom, then in accord with the nature of the true and real fulfilled land, blind passions and enlightenment come to be of one taste. Boom. Let me read that one again. When the waters of the mind entrusting to other power enter the ocean waters of Amita's vow of wisdom, then in accord with the nature of the true and real fulfilled land, blind passions and enlightenment come to be of one taste. Wow. Okay. So Roman numeral 1.2. Amita's primal vow is wisdom. The primal vow is likened to the great ocean. Waters of entrusting. True and real Shinjin is likened to water. Italics, true and fulfilled land. The land of bliss is called the fulfilled land. And Roman numeral 1.4, our minds and Buddha's mind become one. When we are born in the land of happiness, evil and good become one taste. Blind passions and virtues become one. Next section. All those who deeply entrust themselves to the two aspects of Amida's directing of virtue attain the stage equal to perfect enlightenment. Hence, their minds continue, hence their mindfulness continues unceasingly. Italics, two aspects of Amida's directing virtue. The directing of virtue of Amida Tathagata's primal vow has two aspects: directing virtue for going forth and directing virtue for return. Stage, so again, italics, stage equal to perfect enlightenment, the stage of the truly settled. Persons who truly realize Shinjin, which is directed to them through Amida's vow of wisdom, receive the benefit of being grasped, never to be abandoned. Hence, they attain the stage equal to perfect enlightenment. Let's read that one again. That's really important. Persons who truly realize Shinjin, which is directed to them through Amida's vow of wisdom, receive the benefit of being grasped, never to be abandoned. Hence, they attain the stage equal to perfect enlightenment. Italics, persons who truly realize Shinjin, persons who realize true and real Shinjin. Italics, grasped, never to be abandoned. Amida Tathagata takes in and holds persons of Shinjin. Roman numeral 1.4. Know that they attain the stage of the truly settled. On to section 26. Bodhisattva Maitreya must pass 5,670,000,000 years before attaining Buddhahood. But the person who realizes true Shinjin will attain enlightenment with the end of this life. Love that. I love that. Number 26. Bodhisattva Maitreya must pass 5,670,000,000 years before attaining Buddhahood. But the person who realizes true Shinjin will attain enlightenment with the end of this life. The person who attains the stage equal to perfect enlightenment by the working of the vow of birth through the Nembutsu, being the same as Maitreya, will realize great complete nirvana. Stage equal to, so in italics, stage equal to perfect enlightenment, the stage of the truly settled. Maitreya is said to be in the stage equal to perfect enlightenment. Having immediately entered the stage of the truly settled, on realizing true and real Shinjin, a person will, being the same as Maitreya of the rank of succession to Buddhahood, attain supreme enlightenment. That's another important one. I'll read that again. Having immediately entered the stage of the truly settled, on realizing true and real Shinjin, a person will, being the same as Maitreya of the rank of succession to Buddhahood, attain supreme enlightenment. So we're considered being the same as Maitreya's rank of we're considered being the same people of Shinjin, I should say, people of who enter the truly settled stage, are the same as Maitreya of the rank of succession to Buddhahood. So interesting or powerful. Italics, supreme enlightenment, great, complete nirvana. Even the wise who lived during the Semblance Dharma-Age put aside the various teachings of self-power and entered the gate of the Nembutsu, for it is the teaching in accord with times and with beings. And it's interesting that, that's denoted in the translation of age, whatever age is, the age of whichever age it's talking about, it includes the time and the beings. So anyway, it's kind of in the word. It's the meaning of the word itself is, things need to, be in accord with times and beings. Teachings and practices. So I'll read that one again. Even the wise who lived during the Semblance Dharma age, put aside the various teachings of self-power and entered the gate of Nembutsu, for it is the teaching in accord with times and with beings. Persons who truly realize Shinjin as they utter Amida's name, being mindful of the Buddha's ways, wish to respond in gratitude to the great benevolence. When sentient beings of this evil world of five defilements entrust themselves to the primal vow, virtues indescribable, inexplicable, and inconceivable fill those practitioners. So say that's a pretty big deal. That's pretty special. As they say, it's nothing special. That's pretty special. The Buddha of unhindered light declared, to benefit sentient beings of the future, I entrust the Nembutsu of wisdom to Bodhisattva Mahastamaprapta. Interesting. The Buddha of unhindered light declared, to benefit sentient beings of the future, I entrust the Nembutsu of wisdom to the Bodhisattva Mahastamaprapta. Full of compassion for sentient beings of this defiled world, Mahastamaprapta encourages us to save the Nembutsu. He embraces the people of Shinjin and brings them into the Pure Land. Italics embraces, takes in, and holds. I think I'll leave it there. Been going for a while now, so we'll pick up with number 34 at the next video in this series of readings and reflection of mine that I voiced verbally. Right. So thank you very much for listening, and Namo Amida Butsu. In fact, I think I'll do some Nembutsu at the end here. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu. Thank you very much. Take care.